Hello again to this video clip series, My Journey to God in a Very Secularized World. We're talking about this topic of the history of communion in the hand and this epoch of compromise, that people no longer are seeking what God wants or trusting in God, but the way they want it. And so they're using religion to satisfy what they want instead of to use religion to discover God's will and to do God's will. Talking about, we were talking about before, about false love and false mercy and so on like that. In particular, we finished with those 33 directives of the Masons to Mason bishops to destroy the church. And if you want to understand a little better about this hidden, powerful strategy of using false love to destroy, you might read what I published on my website, article. It's called "A Damned Priest Warns About Hell." It's a very good exorcism, a detailed exorcism in what the devil was forced to reveal. Going on here, according to Cardinal Biffy, according to the servant of God, Archbishop Fulton Sheen, and many saints and holy learned people, during the time of the great apostasy, just before the manifestation of the Antichrist, this universal worldwide brotherhood will take the place of the true religion. It will take the place of the true cult of God. You might also visit my article, Russia Will Punish the World, Third Secret of Fatima Revealed. I have a great sorrow in my heart for the souls entrusted to a great number of pastors today who do not live nor preach the Catechism of the Catholic Church for adults, from John Paul II. If these pastors do not want to represent the Catholic Church and do not want to spend eternity with the truth, Jesus, best wishes to them. But to drag so many souls with them to be separated from the truth for all eternity is something more terrible than one can imagine. Our Lady, our Mama of all people, cries, and a great number of her beloved son priests could care less. As the Catechism says, the chief punishment in hell is eternal separation from God, 1035. Considering the great rebellion against Pope Paul VI's encyclical Humani Vitae, 1968, an encyclical which reaffirmed the constitution of the Church, from Casti Connubii, 1930, and so on the gravity of using contraception. And then a year later, with Memoriale Domini, 1969, I am not surprised about the words of Pope Paul VI a while later. Now, he wrote in dramatic words pronounced by Pope Paul VI on June 29, 1972, after the Second Vatican Council, denouncing that, he said, "From some fissure, the smoke of Satan has entered into the temple of God. No one longer trusts the church. So many trust in the first profane prophet who speaks to us in a magazine or in some social slogans in order to run after him and ask him if he has the formula of true life. And we do not realize instead that we have already become lords and teachers. Doubt has entered our consciousnesses, and it has entered through the windows which were meant to have been opened to the light. This state of uncertainty reigns even in the church. It was hoped that after the council there would be a day of sunlight in the history of the church. Instead, there came a day of clouds, of darkness, of groping, of uncertainty." The words of Pope Paul VI in 1972. A few months before Pope Paul VI died, on September 8, 1977, he confirmed this grave judgment in a conversation with Jean Guiton, Frenchman. Here are the words of Pope Paul VI recounted by the French philosopher. He said, there is a great disturbance at this moment in the world and in the church, and what is in question is the faith. It happens now that I find myself repeating the obscure saying of Jesus in the Gospel of St. Luke. When the Son of Man returns, will he find faith on the earth? It happens that books are published in which important points of the faith are undermined, that the bishops are silent, that these books are not found to be strange. This, according to me, is strange. Now, the bishops don't say nothing. I read again every once in a while the gospel of the end times, and I realize that in this moment there is emerging some signs of the end times. Are we near the end? This we will never know. It is necessary to always be ready, but everything can still last quite a while. What strikes me when I consider the Catholic world is that a non-Catholic type of thought seems to predominate sometimes within Catholicism. And this non-Catholic thought might become the stronger one within Catholicism in the future. But it will never represent the thought of the Church. A small flock must remain, however small it may be. Now, strong words from Paul VI. A pastor who does not study to seek to discover these hidden poisons of the father of lies, Satan, gives to the sheep the impression that everything is okay, even though they have slowly embraced the poisons of the wolf. The fundamental strategy of the wolf is to put to sleep spiritually the sheep so that they believe to be all okay, and thus do not seek to discover if they are truly okay according to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, even though they're okay according to the manner of the world in each era of the world. They're okay according to the world. If a person does not confess a mortal sin, the sin remains for all eternity, because God respects the free will of each person to not ask for mercy of God in sacramental confession, and to not live what one says in the act of contrition. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to sin no more and to avoid the near occasion of sin. How many people, with the help of the negligence of their pastors, have ignored or rebelled against the teachings of the Church about the sin of using contraception? Humanae Vitae, 1968, or Canasta Canubi, 1930, and have never confessed this mortal sin, but today commit many sacrileges in receiving Holy Communion without confessing this mortal sin. Does God have to change according to every epoch of the world, or does the world have to change according to God? If a pastor who has the vocation to protect the sheep from the wolf does not do this work of being the spiritual doctor of souls to help to identify and to overcome the spiritual mortal sicknesses of mortal sins, what will Jesus say to this pastor on his deathbed? Jesus said, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Mark 31. And Jesus again said, think not that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets. I have come not to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, not an iota, not a dot, will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Matthew 5. You might also visit some of my articles, such as the subtle and powerful attack on the Eucharist, or the progressive Protestantization of the Catholic Mass. The fundamental strategy of the devil today is to eliminate humility before God. Humility, especially here on earth, before the infinite God in the Eucharist. You cannot separate the body from the soul or from the heart. Therefore, it is very important for Satan to take away the exterior signs of humility with the body before the infinite God in the Eucharist. The heart and soul slowly follow the signs of the body. St. Augustine tells us, it was pride that changes angels into devils. It is humility that makes men as angels. Humility is the foundation of all other virtues. The soul in which this virtue does not exist, there cannot be any other virtue except in mere appearance. St. Bonaventure said that without humility, there is not true virtue. Without humility of obedience and humility before the infinite God in the Eucharist, Jesus said, "My grace turns away from them to humble souls." This was in the diary of St. Faustina, number 1602. May God bless you and Mary guide you.